we're with Chad, and of course Felipe.
Hello.
Oh, yes. And a laptop playing Kerbal Space Program, a MacBook,
And I should be watching
Yes.
this more closely.
Because you're trying to rendezvous with an asteroid in the Asteroid Redirect Mission.
Indeed.
Yeah, and we should also point out we've got Anthony over here, community manager, filming as well. What am I saying, filming? There's no film in that camera.
Recording, there we are.
Recording. Remember the days when you had to have film? But you guys have been having a great GDC, I've been hearing. And
yes.
yes, in fact, I should come around to this angle. Ooh, game developers, audience choice.
And it's all thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say? It's
Everyone that voted on this, it's all for you. And everyone that voted against us,
ASP community equals best community.
there's some.
This is proof that we do have the world's best community
Yeah,
now.
scientific
we
proof
have
this is fact.
physical evidence of how awesome our community is.
I would actually say that the KSP community is probably one of those communities that would rely on scientific proof of such things, as opposed to, just opinions.
Oh, yes. So, there you have it.
There we have it. Game Developers Choice Award 2014.
It actually says 2013.
Oh,
No,
2013.
for last year, because they give the awards for last year.
That's, I see. But we voted on it this year, didn't we?
That is true, though.
Yes.
I'm confused now.
I am
It's
confused.
for games that
There's
released in
either some
2013.
sort of time
like
travel
last
Oh, I see.
or this is
Yeah.
Well, when is time travel coming into KSP? The breaking the fourth dimension.
Relativistic effects when?
I mean, yeah, that's one of those things that will.
No, I don't want to add relativist effects because they suck. Relativity sucks.
Take that relativity.
Well, relativity makes black holes happen, right?
Yeah, but it also makes it impossible to exceed the speed of light, and all those other weird and very socially awkward moments where you suddenly become much younger than all of your descendants. So yeah, it sucks.
If you had to,
it's a problem.
If you had to accelerate up to the speed of light inside of, say, a year, you would be a lot shorter than all your friends as well. It takes a long time to get there. It's at that speed. But yeah, I mean, you guys, we've got a 0.24 on the laptop, right?
Oh yes, I'm actually just completing a burn here that'll take me outside the Kerbal SOI, and from there I hope to plan a new maneuver that will get me to intercept with the asteroid that I'm tracking that actually will impact Kerbal. So I'm doing the...
This is a real Bruce Willis moment.
Oh no, yeah, I'm removing 5 to 7 meter sized bit of rock from entering the atmosphere. So yes, I'm doing a public service.
We've sent our best
By,
oil technicians.
Yes, I will remove one shooting star from the night sky. That's my
It's more than a shooting star.
Well, interestingly enough, the funny thing is the system actually randomly generated an impactor. This asteroid he's going over will hit the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it only generates the asteroids near Kerbal, right?
Yes.
That's because you have telescopes.
That is by design. This is the initial idea is that you're finding asteroids because telescopes on the ground are finding these objects near Kerbal. That could be expanded later, but that's all just speculation at this point. But there's a lot of cool ideas.
I have some friends that have a satellite that they would love to use as a discovery system.
Yeah. Who are those?
The B612 guys, or B612, with their Sentinel spacecraft.
It's an impressive piece of hardware. I've looked at it. It's amazing.
But it could also make a great gameplay mechanic, is my argument. But I mean, that's the question. At this point, this is a halfway step between 23 and 24.
Everything else is. There's always room to expand everything we do, and the modders will get their hands on it soon. So we'll see what they come up with as well.
Well, just to clarify, this is the Asteroid Redirect Mission, and it's not 024. 024 is its own.
Oh yes, this is
right. But it's more than just a mod, because you've changed the base code of the thing. It's not just extra parts.
It's fully integrated with the game, and it is going to be part of it.
It's a patch.
Yeah, and you've improved orbital mechanics, improved the maneuver nodes, right? Joints.
Inertia tensors.
Right. So these are all core functionality, and then on top of that, you've got the game. What's missing that was going to be in 2.4 would be things like career mode upgrades, which nothing's happening here.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, Mr.
This is a self-contained, and then 024 will be.
Basically, when we started adding the content for the NASA pack, we realized that there were all these usability issues that we never really had to deal with because objects coming in flybys of Kerbin were rare, to say the least, and they were all your own fault. So there was no such thing as an object that would do a close approach of Kerbin. So there were all these new situations that the targeting and the patched connect system wasn't built to support really because there weren't many cases where you would use them. So the first time I actually got to do a playthrough of actually trying to go out and meet an asteroid, I felt very frustrated by the lack of tools that would allow me to do it. So I went on a rampage of improving code.
And you noticed that when you time accelerated near an object in deep space, that it would move.
It would move,
right?
Yes. And I figured out why. There was one place where we were actually converting to single precision and back and losing or carefully calculated double precision data.
Yes.
So that was why.
Yep.
And once that was fixed, now you can actually time warp and you will see that it will remain perfectly in place.
Yes, and I am so grateful for that. So, floating point math is one of these things that programmers do wrong all the time.
That and angle wrapping. Angle wrapping is one of the most stupid types of bugs you can see. And it's most of the bugs we have with orbit code is because an angle can either go from 0 to 360 and then loop back, or it can just keep accumulating. And sometimes you want one, sometimes you want the other, sometimes you want it in radians, and it does the same thing. And that sort of stuff messes up your math so bad because there is no real way to know what you need until you actually get there. And so it's very easy to get lost with that. And you have to sanity check all your methods.
Yeah, and sometimes the best sanity checks come once you release it. And you're like, oh.
And then somebody finds bugs. And we're like,
Yeah.
So it's been a long process of that. And then we also found a couple of other methods that were unstable. Like one of the patched conics methods was using a piece of math that relied on a very peculiar measurement of an orbit called the Semi-Latus-Rectum.
Which I could tell you all about.
And it's one of the most peculiarly named measurement of an ellipse, but that one was calculated based on h, which is the cross vector of position and velocity. The problem was at very high time warp, what would happen is on a very highly eccentric orbit, what would happen is say you're at 10,000x warp doing a close flyby of Kerbin like this, you're going like this, and then all of a sudden you do this. And then
you skip through?
And, I mean, there might be 2 or 3 frames during periapsis if you don't slow down. And with your own active craft, that doesn't happen because the game will slow down time for you. But with other ships, that won't happen because they're still packed. So what happened was on one frame you'd be here, on the other one you'd be here. Periapsis was here, and you missed it completely. So
and periaps could be inside the planet.
Oh yeah. No, that's the thing. You actually did this instead of going all the way around, as far as the math is concerned. So to get accurate velocity data at that point becomes really tricky. So just your current state vectors won't do. So that's what we were having as issues because. That would cause some numbers to variate that should be variating, and those would cause some equations to fail in ways that they shouldn't. So that would actually cause a spam of not a number errors.
Oh, you would actually have crashes or
exceptions? Crashes.
Yeah, nons tend to infect things. Like you get a single non,
yes,
and it just cascades.
It is infectious. And not a number, if you don't know, guys listening, is where if you multiply something by not a number, it becomes not a number.
Yeah, friends don't let friends divide by 0.
Right.
This is how they spread. It's kind of like an infection in the code. And the problem is, nothing will tell you that you've initially generated the not a number, because that is the expected result sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't generate a runtime error or anything of the sort that you can actually see. and say, oh, okay, so this is where it's going wrong. Now you have to hunt it down. It's pretty dreadful. It's one of the hardest things to track down is where your division by zero type, not a number of things are happening.
And it's always sneaky.
It's sneaky, and it's sometimes it's not clear. And on this one, it wasn't. There was no a situation where there was actually any division by zero happening. It was just a number that shouldn't float but was floating, which was the Semi-Latus-Rectum, because it was calculated based on state vectors on very high time marks. It would like oscillate a little bit, and it shouldn't do that because it's one of those like stable parameters. So instead, I wrote a new solver which recalculates it on the fly based on like at the time values. So well, the good thing about the orbit math now is that we have so many methods to calculate things that it's actually we can just like grab them and pick and choose which ones work best. So that made it a lot more stable now, and no more non-cascades.
Yeah.
See, I love this. This is like under the hood stuff that 90% of the players are never going to appreciate. But it really, when you're trying to get those tiny, close interactions, it makes all the difference. I have a problem with what I call maneuver node rot, where you create a maneuver node and then go away, do some things or whatever, and then come back, and because of built-up accumulated errors, the maneuver node is now completely bogus, right?
Ah, yes.
And especially when you have cascading maneuver nodes and things like that, it's kind of an issue that will never quite go away, I suspect. But
there is one thing we could do, but it will require you to later tweak your maneuver node anyways.
Right.
Because as you confirm your maneuver, now there are new buttons, right, to cancel and confirm the maneuver. That will update the flight plan. So your current orbit now becomes the base for the next maneuver node. And those are recalculated. And what will happen is you will probably have to adjust the flight plan a little bit because the new maneuver node is now slightly different. But I think that's a cool thing because that's kind of like organically like getting you to refine the flight plan as you go along. But
right, I mean that's what you do in real life. You make your first maneuver for your Mars encounter, and then
you see how wrong it went.
Right, they figure out how wrong it went, and then they plan to have this maneuver, but sometimes they'll say, "Oh, we got it bang on. We don't need this maneuver."
Yeah.
And the astronavigation teams are always quite excited when that happens, right?
Yeah, I've actually heard of a thread on Orbiter forums, I think, in which someone asked, is it possible to do a single burn to Mars and then just run ballistic?
Absolutely.
And then they said, theoretically, yes, definitely you can. But in practice, that is pretty much impossible because even the valves that control the fuel flow to the thrusters don't close that fast for you to have enough precision in your burn.
Right.
To actually like shoot yourself to Mars with a single burn.
But in theory,
it's perfectly acceptable.
If you get really, really lucky, it just happens.
And besides, it might even work in Kerbal space program. I don't work for NASA, so
yeah. I'll point out that technically it is possible with an ion engine, since that's one big long burn that you refine.
This guy.
It's true. It's kind of like an LED. You can just shut it off.
Yeah, I heard though that you've made ion drives much stronger.
Yes, I have, and it is unrealistic.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
But they're now fun to use.
Yay.
So that is.
Oh no, Scott.
That was. I'm not gonna apologize about that.
Dear.
I was dreadfully bored by the ion engines. I can't stand to sit around waiting for them to, like, do 2-hour-long burns.
I recently had a burn that was going to be 80 hours long.
Yes, that's not my idea of fun times. So yes, we did buff them considerably.
But I mean,
they're now a very fun way to get around the solar system. And really, by the time you get to them in the tech tree, it's really about an exploration and getting around.
do you need to have like much more power? Is it like a factor of 10 or?
The power usage is decreased, so you're actually able to run it because the ISP is the same.
Right.
So it is going to consume xenon faster.
But it won't consume power faster.
It would also consume power faster, but so much faster, in fact, because the xenon is on a 150-to-1 ratio or something like that. It's So we scaled that down because it was just ridiculous.
Basically,
so the power
you
usage
need like
is if you have one gigantor solar panel at around 1 AU distance, the output of a gigantor solar panel will run a single ion engine at full throttle.
But unfortunately, because of balance reasons, you typically need two, regardless.
So add a second gigantor. My little probe that I sent to Joule had 3, and at Joule, if you have at least 2 of the panels well enough aligned, you can do full throttle burns. If you don't, or if you're in the shade, then you need to seriously scale it down. So depending on the orientation of your spacecraft, and some burns will actually require you to tilt it in a way that will hide some of the panels. Then you need to kind of be careful about it and not fully throttle it up, especially with a probe. If you throttle it up and drain a probe, the probe itself will die.
Right.
Unless it happens to pass back in the sun and the panels are facing the
right
way, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck with your ion engine all the way on, right?
Yeah. So I think that's the key thing. I think gameplay-wise, the challenge of the ion engines is power management, not fuel or thrust. It's mostly about how do I keep this thing alive while I'm trying to do my burn, and doing that for 80 hours. Dude, it's just...
I came up with a solution. It was technically a plasma drive from a mod, but 80 hours. Yeah, I would say the guys with that mod, they added the ability to generate thrust during time warp, so it would refine the trajectory during that. And I mean, I would love that to be in stock at some point.
I wonder how they...
I think they just update the patched conics.
Exactly. Yeah, you just change parameters.
Accumulate whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's
whatever.
pretty much. It's I think just same as you would do on a symplectic integrator, where you're just updating your patched conics.
Certainly doable.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, can I say if you put that in the core game, will you fix the ion drives back to normal? Can I get a commitment from you guys?
No, let's not promise.
No, you don't.
That's up to this guy. And
That's only if you add the time.
So see what would happen. This is how features cascade.
Yeah,
this is feature creep
hypothetical
happening
situation.
in. This is actual feature creep, guys. You're witnessing.
Yes, the
creep.
feature creep.
Feature creeper.
Did I pause the game?
You have paused the game. Yes, I know you're distracted. I'm sorry. I'm distracting you from your mission to save Kerbal.
You just sailed into
From a shooting star. Yes, that wouldn't have been. I mean, I think we've crashed larger spacecraft than what I'm going after.
Well, the asteroids, the density of the material is not the same as the density of the planets, right?
No, we've scaled the density so that the range of masses that you encounter are within playable ranges, basically.
So they're typically
Anything past this guy, I swear, every time.
But no, they're not. They're not the same.
This is my natural state of being. Is asking. Yeah.
They were tuned based on what's the lowest mass asteroid you can find and what's the highest mass asteroid.
Right.
And I played around with those values until we figured something that was like a good balance between too heavy and too light. So they range from not much more than a spacecraft part normally, like a couple of
Orange tanks.
Maybe. I think there is even lighter ones than that.
Oh.
Well, maybe the weight of an empty one, possibly. Because, those are made of metal. The asteroids are not necessarily...
Well, they're made of metal, but they have fuel inside that adds most of the mass. That's the...
So, the smallest asteroid you could find will probably weigh less than a full Jumbo 64 fuel tank.
Okay.
But the largest asteroids you can find will weigh as much as an office building. So,
Nice.
I've seen asteroids up to 2,500 tons.
So, have you just confirmed that the Kerbals have office buildings? Since all we've ever seen is a space center.
Hey, I'm sure they have offices in the space center.
There are a lot of windows in that place.
Exactly.
I mean, what are they doing?
But
Photosynthesis.
But yeah, I mean, the orange tank.
Go there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the orange tank is kind of like the standard unit of heavy lifter payload. But now you've added a bigger one, right?
Anymore, it's not.
Yes.
Orange tank is now
Now it's small.
puny in comparison.
It's like the size.
Well, you can
one.
actually see it on Minecraft.
You have it here.
Yes.
You've actually launched one of these
I've
things.
actually launched
You
one of
should
these
show him
things.
that thing on the pad.
So
Ooh.
this here is
That's
the
a
Rockomax
standard- yeah.
32. This here is a Poodle engine, it's still in its fairing, and this is new.
Oh wait, is that a fairing that now changes size? Or no, that's
Oh, no,
just a
this is
size
the-
adapter.
this is the
I'm
adapter.
looking at it wrong.
So this is the adapter, and this is now our largest fuel
What's-
tank.
And so that's a 3.75 meter.
3.75 meter. It carries in full 6,480 units of liquid fuel and the proportional amount of oxidized.
So it masses something like 64 tons.
Yeah, they're really
are
freaking heavy, and they
freaking
have.
heavy, yes.
And that's not even the biggest one, is it? Isn't there a bigger one than that?
This is the biggest
Oh, okay.
one, but we've also got a half-size version of this and a quarter-size version.
Right.
So you can stack them. You can
Of course.
make them
Why don't
much,
you
much
show
larger.
them
And they will-
full rocket on the pad? That thing is crazy on the pad.
Well, yeah.
let me just
It
finish
is-
up my burn here.
It's a
Yeah.
skyscraper.
And I got a couple of
That he
ideas for
launches.
SOI exits, so
And the great thing is with the new.
Here's the
joints,
orbit. Yeah. Yes.
It launches
this is just
perfectly
real
stably.
quick.
It holds together, huh?
But check it out. I love this little feature. It's one of those little things. Once you get to above 99% accuracy in a maneuver, the cancel button turns into
A
an
green
accept.
approve. Ah.
So you can just do this. The maneuver goes away, and if you have other ones, then it'll shift to the next one.
Sweet.
So you don't have to go to the map and cancel the maneuver you just flew anymore.
And another maneuver node feature that I've asked for forever is you can now click to go on to the next orbit. So you can set up something 10 orbits at a time.
you can, and that is actually very useful. And what I figured out, a pro tip, one very good way to do very long-term maneuvers, you create your maneuver, you create a second maneuver right after that, and on the second maneuver you do nothing. You just flip it with the right mouse button, and you add a couple of orbits to that, and then on the first maneuver you tweak.
Oh, and so now you will be able to
You
see
have
close
basically
approaches.
a weight node there, which means that the patch conics that it's drawing is now for as many orbits ahead as you set it. So you have a way to peer into the future and discover what it's going to look like after you run the initial maneuver and wait around for 3 orbits or so.
So you're saying that it'll compute the close approaches like 3 or 4 orbits in future?
It will, because those orbits are calculated after the date of the patch. So basically, it means here I am. I've made a 10 meters a second burn prograde. What does that give me in 3 years if I'm just outside Kerbal SOI? So you add a couple of orbits there, and you will see what it'll look like 3 orbits from now. And it's usually it's a very good way to amplify the power of your delta V if you have the patience.
Yeah, pro tips from the pros here, right?
So those are one of those things that I picked up.
I had not thought of that. That's really awesome. Let's see this thing on the pad then, if we can.
Oh yes. I just completed my burn, so I have 15 days to Kerbal Escape. Oh, by the way, speaking of 15 days, these are 15 Kerbal days. So a Kerbal day is 6 hours.
6 hours,
long, and now there is an in-game option to toggle between Earth time, which is 24-hour days and 365-day years, or Kerbal time, which is 6-hour days and 432, if I'm not mistaken, days.
Kerbal days.
Kerbal days in a year, yes, and that will affect all of your time displays here.
Ooh.
And a second and an hour and a minute are still a second, an hour, and a minute long, so don't worry about that.
As long as seconds are the same, I can cope. Yeah. Astronomers have everything measured in seconds. Julian day, 86,400 seconds. That's what we think of as a day.
Yeah, if you ask Scott what the time is, he will give it to you in Julian day, and then you will have to compute what the time is.
Right? Not quite, but yeah.
I would love a watch though that gives me the time. And
Did you see the $250,000 solar system watch that was being passed around? It's this it's a timepiece that has little jewels for all of the planets. It's all mechanical.
It's like
It's like a mechanical watch like this.
It's like a portable orrery or something like that.
Yeah.
I was looking for the word orrery.
Orrery, yes.
That's
one
a
of the-
hard one. You have to come up.
Orrery. How do you pronounce that?
Chew on it.
You chew.
It's a delicious word.
So KSP hasn't made you enough cash that you're interested now, right?
Has anyone made enough cash to be interested in that?
I don't know. I'm sure. I'm just wondering how many space nerds. Actually, I know one guy who's.
I can think of one guy.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got his own space program and
Oh, yeah.
all that.
Well-
He might be interested in that piece of
Yeah,
shit.
that guy.
Yeah, I know at least one guy who's a CEO. He's a founder of a very, very big company. He would be. I bet you he might get one.
Yes.
Then again, he has a plane that he takes to observe stars and crap. But yeah, so I mean, Kerbal Space Program's going well, but not that well.
No, not what did you say?
250K. Yeah, I mean, Notch might have the cash.
Watches? No, I don't think we're doing that well. No. We're doing well,
You're doing well.
guys. But
Congratulations! Thanks to the community. Got to say that.
but if you want to donate to help us out with the goal of having 250K orrery watches for the entire dev team, please.
Yeah, so
we'll open
any-
a PayPal channel or a Kickstarter campaign maybe, and you can pitch in for that noble goal of providing the dev team with 250K
No, each.
each.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can have.
So there's 15 of us, so it's a lofty goal. I know it's ambitious, but it's a noble purpose.
You know what? What you should really do for that price, you should get custom versions done with a Kerbal system instead.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we're getting 15 of
for
them.
500,000.
We could get a
Why not?
bulk discount, maybe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, custom manufacture us new ones. Expensive. We'll get colored diamonds.
Yeah.
Why not?
This is really going off track, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
So is the rocket.
Oh yes, I know. He's so proud of his joint
digress.
reinforcement.
Yeah, those are the joints.
This is look at the joints. They're so strong.
Yes.
I am proud of my joint reinforcement. I actually talked to Ferrum.
Oh, yeah.
On the experimental team, and he gave us some really cool tips that he was able to find out on his own. And he dug around the code a lot in Unity, and he's figured out a couple of things that surprised us, in fact. Unity itself has a couple of global tweaks to physics that were actually impeding proper stability of the joints.
Huh?
Like the max angular velocity for a rigid body by default is 7. I don't know if that's 7 degrees a second, 7 radians a second.
Probably 7 radians per second.
I don't know. That's the thing. Or maybe the magnitude of the angular rotation vector, which may be in radians. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Or if it's by
probably
frame or by second, but it's low in any case. That's what.
It's very frustrating.
So it's not low enough that it would actually cause problems when flying a spacecraft. If you're rotating at 7, you're probably way out of control. But for joints, what would happen if you have a very heavy object trying to put a little object back into place with its current spring force? And that evaluates to a value past 7. Then the physics engine would actually cut it back, and the result of that is wobbliness. So
And oscillation as well.
and oscillation. So upping the max angular velocity limit was such an easy fix. It was getting better joints for free. Pretty
Awesome.
much.
And you'll be able to do the whole Manley maneuver thing where you spin the rocket up to deorbit your spacecraft. You spin up, detach, and you're home free.
Yes, you could do catapults.
Yeah. And we can recreate Gemini 5 or
You
whatever.
can grab a Kerbal and you can spin them up and chuck them too. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
The grabber grabs everything.
I remember a guy did that.
Yeah, Danny
Posted
did
a
the...
video.
Kerbal shot
It may have been Danny.
Yeah, he did the Kerbal grabber with landing legs. He would go,
no,
it would grab you by the head.
That was a very old update. I remember it was a very long time ago.
Yeah,
I saw a video. The guy was doing a deorbit burn and ran out just shy of 69,000.
That was me. That did a really long rocket.
That was
And then I spun it up.
That was you.
Yeah, I purposely set it up like that because I wanted to demonstrate it was possible.
That is so cool. And you just basically like tumbled him.
Up to 7 radians per second, obviously.
7. I don't
7
know what
magical
that
units.
is. Dude, there should be a law that requires all programmers to document
Document this
Document
stuff.
their
units.
units. I was gonna swear out loud in this video right now. I'm sorry, but it does frustrate.
That's okay. You know, people understand that people are real people in this. You
What?
know?
People are real people?
People are real people. Yes,
We're
indeed.
internet people.
Even up here, we can see people in
Are
the
you
ground.
calling me a person? Wait,
I don't know. You want to be a Kerbal or you know, secretly?
I don't know how I feel about that.
Now you're a real person despite being a hero to many. There, as is Chad. Yeah.
What's this now?
I don't know. You're a real hero, kind of. You know. Yeah. Changing lives, man. Seriously.
I completely lost the thread of what we were talking.
I don't know. I think we're going to look at this rocket.
Oh, yes.
We go off on tangents so much. It's been fantastic.
That's okay. I think tangents are quite entertaining.
So I'm gonna just launch the Retriever A1. So look at this. This is a 4-stage, 64-part rocket.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Bill is the next willing victim. Oh, sorry,
Unwilling.
brave explorer.
Brave explorer.
To ride this intrepid vessel of space exploration, and well, let's see what happens. So this is a 64-part rocket, and look at the size of this.
Look at the size of that thing. Cut the cheddar red too.
So well, let's use the flagpole for measurement here. This is a tall flagpole.
Yeah.
Look at the water tower, and basically the launch pad itself kind of looks small compared to the rest of the thing.
Yeah, we're gonna need.
This is a big rocket, and remember, I just sent this out of Kerbal SOI on the second stage.
Yeah.
I still have a third stage entirely unused, and this is only 64 parts. And one thing you may also notice is that let's count the struts.
Are these the new external liquid-fueled boosters as
these
well,
are the
with
new-
built-in engines?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you can stack more fuel on
Yeah.
top if you like.
Oh yes, these are liquid fuel boosters. They carry their own fuel, but you can also stack more fuel on top. These don't actually jettison away. I rigged the fuel system in such a way that they feed through the center stack as well, so they just add to the...
They're just external engines.
They're just external engines
But
and fuel tanks as well. They all contribute to the first stage.
You have all of like 3 struts on this thing.
Yes, that's where we're going.
So where are the struts? We have struts on the sides
The
there.
struts on this rocket. So I see 1 here, 2, 3. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And watch what happens when he launches
It's
it.
going to explode, I know it.
It's going to fall over on the pad. It's like, look at it. It's already wobbling.
Look at how it wobbles. Yes, it's
Oh.
it's like a wet noodle, isn't it?
Wacky waving rockets.
Wacky,
Physics
inflatable
are
arm,
running, by the way.
flailing
Look at the
rocket
blinking
man.
green light. This is when the light turns from purple to green. That's the moment where physics are released.
Yeah.
So
this is awesome.
This is already running. So this is how wobbly the new rocket parts are.
This is awesome.
You can see we've made Scott Manley happy. I mean, we should be celebrating right now.
Launch it.
Launch it.
Oh yes, let's launch it. Yes, I keep forgetting about these important things.
Little details, right?
Yes.
But let's launch it.
Ah, there we go. New engines and everything, and it's taking off at quite a clip.
And new effects as well.
So the joints are not only handling the 1g of gravity, they're now handling 2g's of acceleration.
Yeah,
Look at
pretty
it.
much.
Look at it go.
Earlier, when he had the fuel wrong, he was actually hovering the skyscraper.
These engines
Keeping
cut
stable.
out, and there wasn't enough thrust on the mains to just to continue accelerating. So it pretty much just like hovered to a stop.
The TWR dropped to like nothing. And, it was like,
And I was, but it's a testament to the efficiency of the SAS system that it was actually still perfectly upright and not climbing at all.
You're just destroying the
was
poor
just,
pad.
Sitting there like a hovering office building. In a most office building peculiar type of
Yes,
situation.
hovering in a way most office buildings don't.
Well, one of the things is that the one thing the SAS really couldn't account for was oscillation of the physics engine, because the oscillation would sometimes be magnified by control input, and that would really be the one thing that could disturb the system. But that's been incredibly reduced. So the SAS actually just works a lot better as a function of the stability of the joints.
Yeah, that is rock solid. You should probably really need to get that gravity turn on though.
Yep.
I'm getting on it. I mean, it's really hard to talk and play at the same time. I'm figuring this
Let me
out.
tell you about it.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who does that in this room. I mean, is that even a thing?
I don't know why you would want to talk while launching these
Yeah, it's
things.
so much more entertaining when it's just
I remember
static
there was
gameplay with no
a TV show
Okay.
back home where they would interview celebrities while they were playing, and it was like the stupidest show to watch because they could neither play nor talk. So it was just like a complete fail of an interview. But it was fun and entertaining. They would just go like, "So tell us about this new album you've got coming." Yes, album. Yes.
Yes. Oh, album.
They were just playing and crashing.
This is why I have to do post edits on everything, because my brain goes away at times, gets involved with flying or whatever. But actually, I think that's a huge success. We're really looking forward to it. We're looking forward to 24 when it happens, and sure, there's going to be a bunch of things in it, but we can ask you about that then. I think.
This is going to be a cool bit. Look at
Okay, let's watch the cool bit. Ooh, look at that engine!
New special effects.
New particles and
New
special effects.
particles, new smoke, new engines, new everything.
Yes, but the same planets, asteroids.
Well, something's got to be.
Hey, there's new celestial bodies. There's asteroids.
Yes, we're looking, but they don't have gravity, unfortunately.
Well, neither would they have were they that size. Anyway.
They would have a very small amount.
Yeah, it would take
Yeah,
like
but
hours
you did the math
for them
yourself.
to.
You tried to deorbit Gilly. Or you did the math.
I did the math; it was ridiculous.
And I like the conclusion that the volume of tanks that you would need would be basically about the same size
That-
as the moon.
That's partly because Gilly has a density 5 times that of any human material.
Yes.
Right? If you take the densest stuff we have in our universe, that short of degenerate matter,
Yeah.
that's Kerbal.
Well, it's a scaled down universe, and we still need 1g gravity at
Yeah.
the surface. Something's got to give, and I'm glad it's density and
Well,
not something else.
I also pointed out you could just change the constant of gravitation, because we at no point in the game do you see inertial mass and gravitational mass on the same object. So you could just change the constant of gravitation and then make all those wiki pages wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, those people who carefully compiled the mass of all the bodies. Yeah.
That would mess up the physics in such a bad way. We're dealing with 7-dimensional string theory. This is like
Oh yeah, you change that and then
the universe breaks down in all sorts of conceivable.
Oh God, seriously, tell me
This
about
is what
it.
they call the quantum foam, and then we would move to be inside one of the balls just by doing this. So,
Yeah, false
best to
vacuum.
not mess with universal constants.
Yes. Let me tell you about the vacuum catastrophe. That would be a. But actually, I think we should probably finish this up. I'm so glad you guys spent some time.
I love geeking out like this.
Yeah, I like.
You don't usually get to geek out like this hard on an interview, so
Yeah, I think.
This is great. We just
during
talk
the whole
shop
week,
the entire
I don't-
time. Yeah.
This is the best thing about GDC though, is it's not like CES or E3 where it's all the marketing people. This is the developers.
Yeah.
And the developers like to talk about developing things.
Yeah, funny that.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time this week I've used the phrase 7-dimensional string theory.
You're the first person I've heard that's actually said Semi-Latus-Rectum in a game interview.
Yeah, I've never had someone drop that into
There should be an
casual
award for
conversation.
that.
There should be the Semi-Latus-Rectum Award. I'm going to have to make a video explaining that now.
It sounds dirty, doesn't
It does.
It does. It's my favorite and least favorite measurement at the same time. Very mixed feelings about it.
Okay, well, you guys, thanks so much for doing this. Thanks for developing the next version.
Thank you.
Yes, fly safe, guys.